think the one mistake people always make about Africa is they think that it's one homogeneous region. And Africa is made up of over 50 different countries. The most important thing is to understand the regulatory environment in those particular countries, to understand the culture of those countries, not to be seen to be coming in and just trying to take over those countries. So it's very important that construction companies establish local offices, that they try to employ local people as quickly as possible and ensure that those are the people who are driving them forward. Regulatory certainty is very important to them, so they need to make sure the countries they operate in, before they get too deep into that country, that they understand the regulations, they understand the way people work, and that they that they work in a sustainable manner. We always think of the physical constraint. We think they're in rough mountainous terrain or in deserts, but it's around the other issues. It's around the environment, community, sustainable community, and what's meaningful to those communities. It's pointless just going into a community and trying to impose what you think they want. You need to listen to them and give them what they actually want, not what you think they want.
Going into Africa and learning lessons on what we're achieving there, or trying to improve how we go there, is interesting, because what we found is where we've been before, we have a long history of involvement and it's quite easy. You become used to the country. Where you go into a new area, you find that you have to be specific for the geography that you're in. You can't go to East Africa unless you go to Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania. You can't go to West Africa unless you go to Ghana separately and Nigeria separately. Jobs there are just as competitive. There's a lot of competition in Africa, and you have to deal with many different legislations. So those are the sort of lessons that we learn going into Africa. And we're very early in the journey to Africa, there's no doubt.
We're also supporting our clients on the infrastructure front. So we know that infrastructure is the next best thing in Africa. Africa's constraint being infrastructure. And we are positioning ourselves to support our clients in infrastructure development. So that includes railway networks, ports, it includes power, it includes water, and these are the sectors that we'll be going into. And in Southern Africa, we'll be supporting our clients as well as governments in executing these prospects. And we've already set up an office in Gaborone and another one in Mozambique, in addition to the ones that we have in South Africa, to ensure that we've got local solutions operated by local people in those areas.
And moving into Africa, we've been focusing on Africa for a couple of years now, more so in the last 3 to 4 years. It provides, as we all know, a number of challenges. Moving into various countries, particularly as one goes north of Southern Africa. I think Southern Africa we understand a lot better as such, but once one goes into Central and North Africa, from your commercial, business licenses in a number of these countries take, literally ages to set up, Then it's the issue about setting up the business, etc. Skills, very, very short supply in engineering skills, in particular, our business, power generation. So skills is a challenge. We as Cummins, one of our stated objectives is to start off bringing expatriates in, train local staff, and certainly leave something behind.
The group's drawn on the experience, particularly of our projects business and some of the others, but who's been in Africa for decades and draws on that experience a great deal. In terms of the infrastructure, everyone knows, and I couldn't quote the numbers, but I know it's in the billions in terms of spend, and tapping into that's very difficult. So it was mentioned the local partners. So the drive is actually, if you really want to work in Africa, draw on your local partners and draw on your knowledge of that market historically. And the biggest thing in Africa is logistics. So from our point of view, we've worked in Africa for ages, and we're drawing on that experience now with a redirected focus on Africa until the whole market picks up, in which case we can balance our portfolio between Africa and South Africa.